You're listening to the Sports Cycle on 105.1 Live. I'm your host, Timothy McCain, and today we have the pleasure of interviewing Juston J. Welch, 4-0 as an amateur, and he actually started fighting just last year in COVID season. What was that like for you?
Man, first off, it's been a blessing, taking the little journey that we've taken or whatever, and it was really good to have different solid supporting people around me that helped me through that journey, like Theo Verlaine, who I seen you had on here before. He's a good, solid dude.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what was it like? I mean, the battles, because one, you fought, this was your first time fighting as an amateur in COVID training. So how was training during this COVID season? And also, what was it like fighting in the octagon with maybe not the amount of fans that you would have had if COVID wasn't around?
All right. So first off, my first fight was actually pre-COVID, technically. It was February 1st of last year, like before the lockdowns and everything happened. It was down there in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was a Derek Brunson card. And I got that win in. And then I went ahead, like I was hungry. I was ready to go. So I started just reaching out to different matchmakers at different places like Sparta Fight League in Virginia, NFC Championship down in Atlanta. I had 2 fights back to back booked up, and next thing you know, the world just closed. Like it was just over. So I was just sitting back, me and Theo, the gyms closed and everything, and Theo had a garage or whatever that he turned into like a little makeshift gym. Had the weights in there, had the bag, different people that spar all come over. We were sparring in his garage, and then I was having people come over and we were sparring on my tennis court. That's how we was training under the whole lockdown time frame or whatever. Because, everyone's competitive. We didn't want to stop. So we just, looked at it like we got to do what we got to do. So then I just started looking. I was like, man, am I just training? I'm never going to get to fight again? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, somebody's going to open up. One of these states are going to open up and I'll go wherever I got to go. That might be fun. If it's Vegas, I'll go to Vegas. Now I'm fighting in Vegas. Still fighting another man at the end of the day. Like, that was my main thought. We're all men at the end of the day, so what does it matter where I'm going or, So what I did, I started looking for the different matchmakers in the different states that I thought would open. I was like, okay, I see Florida, they're letting pro sports there, so maybe they'll let amateurs and everything else come back, you know what I'm saying? So I reached out to their matchmaker, Devin Adams, because he does SEC championship, and he also does island fights down there. And I just built that relationship with him, and I was like, keep me in mind for it when you open, you know what I'm saying? Make sure to reach out to him on his birthday and everything, that's just me. Once I know you, I'm there, you know what I'm saying? And it just so happened, right after that, that's when it was lining up their first fight, so he kept me in mind, and that's when he went and brought me down there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just kept going from there. Back to back. Me and Theo on the same schedule. Him on the pro side, me on the amateur side, every other month, going at it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, not only are you an amateur fighter seeking to become professional, but you also are a military man. You are an entrepreneur, a businessman.
Yes, sir.
Like, so usually as an athlete, most people, they'll become an athlete first, and then after they retire, they'll gradually work on their business. But you were the total opposite. You started your business starting at 20. So just explain to the audience, what was it like at 20 years old, becoming a promoter?
All right. So I was 20. I was getting out of the Marine Corps, and I pretty much looked at it like, I gotta take these last paychecks because I'm hearing everything's kind of tougher out here. Like, it's easier to get a part-time job than it is to get a full-time job, and I gotta figure out a way to employ myself when I get out, So I was just kind of looking. I was looking at a million different ideas. Maybe I could do drop shifting. You know what I'm saying? I was just looking at everything, and I ended up seeing a friend of mine that I went to high school with. I seen he was doing parties, and I was seeing they're doing like 800 people at these parties, and I'm doing the math. I know anytime I ever went to a club, I never got in for free. It don't matter how early I went, somehow, some way, you don't get in there for free. I'm like, so if they're doing 800 people, it's probably all of 20 people in there getting it for free. So overall, then on VIP is about $20, $30, and everything else. The general admission probably like 10. They're probably doing like $8,000. You know what I'm saying? At least. So I just, started doing the math in my head. I was like, I wonder how much bills are. Like, so I started, like doing my research, like how much is it to rent out a venue and stuff like that. And I saw usually about the rate of all bills be about $3,000. So I just did the math in my head. Like, that's $5,000 profit.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me I can make $5,000 throwing a party? Oh, I'm gonna throw the most epic parties ever. So I went ahead, reached out to the club owner of it was this club in Greensboro called it was Rain with Remix back in the day. It was Rain at the time frame that I went ahead and reached out, and I paid that $3,000 in advance, rented out the venue, did my first party. On Facebook, the event was going crazy. Everyone was talking about it. I was getting other little teams up, like on the ticket, promoting it as well or whatever. And it messed around and rained hard.
Wow.
So I actually didn't even recover my money on that first party. But what it did do for me, it let the whole city, promoters-wise, into realizing, hold on, we got someone else right here that's potentially able to do numbers. And that's where I initially linked in with Mike Clark. Mike Clark had me over at Lotus, helping him with Lotus. Then we was over at Sin and Sky on the rooftop, which is currently Limelight. Back in the day, that was, actually no, before it was Sin and Sky, it was Heaven. It was on the rooftop at Heaven. We were the first black promoters to ever be at Heaven on that rooftop.
Wow.
And then that opened the door for me to be over at the Renaissance, which is now 117, right there beside Green Street. And then from there, my little girl was on the way, and actually I got to go back. So basically, right then, when I ended up getting over at 117, that was my first time on as a host. I don't know nothing about hosting. I don't know how to turn a crowd up, none of that. I just know how to, bring people out and get people drunk, honestly.
I feel you.
But that was the first time someone was like, I'll give you $150 just to host my event every single Friday. So that, that sparked my interest a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Because then it was like, I'm not even putting money up or anything. I don't got to even worry about a loss. And someone values me that much to pay me $150 a night just to be here pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And then he worked a deal with me that I could take a percentage of the door on Thursdays, you know? And this time frame in Greensboro was lit. This is when Charlotte was coming up here to party. Raleigh was coming out here to party. Because at this time frame, you didn't have labels in World, the Club World and all of that in Charlotte. And it was more so just bars in Charlotte. And then Raleigh didn't have nothing going on for real. So this was like one of the most epic little runs ever in Greensboro nightlife history. And me being in Greensboro nightlife for 9 years, I can attest to that. And then before that, I was in college right here. And then before that, I'm from Winston-Salem. So I know what the scene was like even before that, you know? And so pretty much, I was only making the 150s, and KB brought me over to Club Touch back in the day right then. He had me on as a host or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I need to get back to my original thought of how can I make $5,000 a night type of ordeal, or at least $1,000 a night, you know what I'm saying? And because I was found out my little girl was on the way right then. And so pretty much I was like, what else is on the table? Like, what other venues are open or whatever? So I went ahead. There was a club called Music City. Music City was out by the airport. At this time frame, it didn't have a liquor license, but it had a capacity of 1,700 people though, legally 1,700. Green Street's capacity was 800. Silo's capacity is like four something. Tranquillo right there, its capacity is like 180. I had Music City that had a capacity of 1,700 people legally. So I went in and looked at it while everyone else didn't want it. I was like, the setup of it was dope and everything. It had like stripper poles, cages, and all of that. A huge stage. I was like, I'm gonna make it happen. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And it was BYOB, so you could bring your own liquor or whatever. And from my perspective right there, from I was just 20, like a year before that or whatever, when legally I couldn't even drink. I really didn't even care about what was going on at the bar anyways. I was like, I know a lot of the demographic or student demographic doesn't either. You know what I'm saying? So I know what worked. So I went ahead, I took it. My first Friday did pretty good or whatever. It made a little bit of money. And then my first party that really, really hit was that Halloween. I did a Halloween party at Music City. And it was me and this guy, this older dude. He was on the ticket, Leon. He went by Mr. Infamous back in the day. He had all the old heads out there for real. And I had like I did a 10,000 flyer campaign. Really went through dorm storm, hit every dorm at UNCG, everything at A&T, and I just made it like this is the most lit party ever. It's going down to this spot that holds 700 people. The other spots you won't even be able to get in there. You might as well come over here. And then what ended up happening was all your major promoters at that time, they all had a party somewhere. All of their parties were so dead, they closed at 12 o'clock. So their people started coming over to Music City. Wow. And then in the end, all those promoters came into Music City. And they're all saluting me when they came in, like, you did that. And that's when I really knew right then, I'm a promoter. And that's when it took off from then. That first New Year's Eve right there, we went 32,000 profit.
Wow.
At the door. I only had 10%, but that was $3,200 I made with no liquor license against every other promoter in the world. It felt like, you know what I'm saying, with a small team set at Music City. And I kind of took off in that old lane from there. And then from there, Music City closed that January 2012. In that same time frame, my partner that I initially did Lotus with, Mike Clark, he reached out like, hey, we can go 50-50. I got this spot that black people never been able to promote at all over again, kind of like the Heaven Flow, Green Street. I only got the rooftop though. He told me that in January. I looked at this man, I said, bro, you crazy.
Yeah.
The rooftop in the winter, you know what I'm saying? I was like, maybe like March. I'll be there in like March, right? And then right like a week later, Music City closed. So I was sitting there like, hey Mike, what was you saying about that spot? That spot, you know what I'm saying? And so then we went ahead, we put stuff together. We involved Entourage, which is I don't know if you know Lex. She a cook. I want to say she over at Lux right now. And a few other people, the beginning stages, Genre. A lot of people know Genre from Forex right now. And who else do we have in that initial setup? I think that was it for real. And then we went ahead and went at it. We put together a guest list campaign. We hit it from the 21 and up angle. And next thing you know, we had the whole Greensboro talking about Rooftop Fridays.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then all over again, we were winning because we had the super deal where we didn't have to pay no bills as long as we hit the bar marks, which we were killing the bar marks because our crowd was more so 21 and up. Yeah. And then from there, because I started looking at the other guest list stuff, it's so messy. I wish there was another way we could retain people's information and stuff a little bit more and make it smoother. And then that's when we switched over to the Eventbrite guest list. We started picking up the emails list. And so over all these different years of homecomings and everything, we were just retaining everyone's email list. So then that's where next thing you know, we're able to just send the blast message out way in advance for homecoming, and we're selling out Green Street the whole homecoming.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So it was like that whole journey though, I didn't realize it. I really learned marketing 101 and was really generating real money over all those years doing it. And low key, I definitely gained a love for marketing right there.
That's amazing. So, what were some of the lessons learned in marketing? Some of the wins and also the failures that you faced as a marketer. Like, how did you develop to become the marketer that you are?
Okay, on the fail side, overall, basically, you can't all the way force something. You know, like it's got to be something people actually want. Like, I mean, you could take something just because you got enough network and everything. You could take a venue that aesthetically isn't all of that and everything. You can get people there, but are they going to keep coming? So that's where early on, but I didn't really make that mistake because it was like I kind of pre-seen it via other friends of mine that were doing events and stuff like that. They didn't realize what was going on, but somehow I just kind of paid attention to the game right there, and then I made sure to pass that on to everybody else. And it was like the Renaissance, that was the time frame that I was kind of forced in the situation, so it didn't turn into the money that I really wanted it to be. Trying to think. Oh, one time we took Four Flocks in Lauder, this little restaurant right there. I think that was like 2017 homecoming. We took it in advance just to kind of warm it up or whatever. It wasn't making no money for months. We were barely breaking even or losing, you know what I'm saying? And it was because of the venue. But our whole thing was just cashing out on homecoming, so we got it back and we won in the end. Okay. And then another time, we took Viva on Fridays when we lost Green Street one time. That was over off Windover or whatever, and it wasn't making money like that. But we were also going heads up with Buchanan's on Fridays when they brought Kodak Black, the first time Kodak Black ever been to North Carolina, right when No Flocking just dropped. So I mean, we had incredible competition, so that might have been it, on top of the venue not being all the way what someone might have wanted or whatever. But so one major takeaway from that is in marketing, you can't continually win if it's not something that people really generally want. And then overall, in whatever you're doing, it's finding the people that want what you have. You see what I'm saying? And then just figuring out how to manipulate them in from there.
Respect. I like that. He's putting everybody on game.
Gyms, big gyms, like this clubhouse or something, you heard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So talk about your transition from being a promoter, being a marketer, to being in the fight game. What led you to the fight game?
All right, so when I first got out of the Marine Corps, I actually trained, and actually got to go back one more time. So when I was in the Marine Corps, we did MCMAP. That's an acronym for Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. So I was already like learning little basics that come from boxing and judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but it was just explained as this is the Marine Corps, this is what we do, pretty much. So then when I got out, I just needed something to do and something competitive that I could do because I've always competed. Like back in high school, I played football, but I also ran indoor track and outdoor track, and I ran AAU indoor track and AAU outdoor track. So that put it literally all year round. I was competing in something or training for something. So it was more so when I got out of the Marine Corps, it was just the itch, because even in the Marine Corps, I'm still competing, like, and that's doing our PFT tests and stuff like that, and even just for holding the position as a squad leader and all of that. So it was like I didn't realize, like, it was almost like a depressing moment, and I didn't know what was missing from my life, and it was competing. Like, I'm really a competitor, like, that's just me. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I was like, what can I do right now? Still, okay, maybe I can go, let me try that MMA thing. I did always, watch fights growing up and stuff like that. And I guess we'll get into that later, but so I went ahead, I was training at this spot, Team 1 out in Winston, which was a solid camp. Multiple pros, multiple people on the come up and everything. And I was over there for like a year and a half. And right before my first fight, which is also lines of the promotional time frame of when I first started doing the Renaissance, right before Music City took off. And me finding out that my little girl was underway.
What year was that, by the way?
This was 2010.
Okay.
So pretty much this is August 2010. I've been training, fighting since 2009 at this point, right? 2010 fall, it was 2010 August. I finally got scheduled for a fight, and I'm sitting there training with someone, and they kind of took like a little jab step, and their toe went into underneath my toe and split it wide open. I was supposed to got stitches, and I didn't. But I was supposed to got stitches. So I look right then, I'm like, man, I don't got insurance or nothing right now, and I got a little girl underway. I need to focus in on the money. And that's what started the whole path of me being 100% all in on my event, throwing events and stuff. You see what I'm saying? And then especially seeing that 3,200, that made it like, I got to keep this going. Absolutely. And I just stayed all in literally every week from then to then. So bringing it back around to the whole transition, what happened was, after doing anything for 10 years, you probably get tired of it, And especially nightlife is a business where you're dealing with different personality types that are typically, what's the word I want to use? Robust personality types. Like, to be a promoter, you're probably loud, you probably think you're the man or something, you know what I'm saying? So dealing with different personality types like that, of course, is going to be a whole bunch of conflicts. You're doing business in a place where a lot of people are drunk, you're even drunk half of the time, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of drama can come from that and everything. A lot of just toxic type situations can come from that and doing that so much. And especially, like, yeah, we're doing business, like this is real business that we're doing, but after being around and your partners are people you've been with over years, and you've seen them in all sorts of moments, and you're even involved in their family moments and moments with other friends, like, everyone just becomes like family. And you know, with family, your guard's down a little bit lower and everything, so you're not necessarily handling stuff as you would if you were in a normal corporate business space, you know what I'm saying? So basically, it was just a lot going on, you know what I'm saying? And different people had different interests at this point, because everyone's hit their different growth rates and went to their own directions or whatever. And I really hit a little moment where I was like, I'll go ahead and put it out there. So me and one of my partners, Joe Shepard, we kind of bumped heads. I love him to death, but we bumped heads, right? And me trusting in myself and everything, I was like, you know what? I don't even got to put up with this right now. For real. If I step back today, I guarantee you within a year, I'll figure something else out, and I'll be right back to making money with less stress and without you thinking that I owe you something or something like that. That's exactly what I said. And I took that little step back, and that actually allowed me to start just, you know, trying to learn different things and everything again, because also outside of just the little back and forth ordeals of dealing with other promoters and everything, you're constantly, if you're doing week, because a lot of companies, for instance, Next Level, they make a killing. They are amazing. Newton Hurt, right? They do events, so like they'll do the Wet and Wild ordeal, they'll do Homecoming, right? And they also do travel now, which is going crazy for them, you know what I'm saying? And but it's time in between that.
Right.
So they're able to spend all that time with their people that they want to and build upon relationships and everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're continually having to pull in traffic and compete with the next person that's going against you, and not only, okay, so it's like all at one time, you're doing multiple different things. You're worrying about that week's events, which might be multiple.
Right.
You're worried about lining up the next week's events, and you're worried about pulling in new traffic, while you're also worrying about night of operations and making sure everyone has a good time. You know what I'm saying?
How many hours a week were you working, planning all this, doing all this?
Bro, that was the whole point that I'm getting to. It was 24/7.
Yeah.
Late night. And then it also, oh yeah, I almost forgot, because I haven't done it in a second, but pretty much you're not working during normal work hours. You're working when everyone else is free hours. You see what I'm saying? You're in everyone else's time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's when everyone else is off, oh, now I can hit people up and talk to them and everything. You know what I'm saying? To then link stuff back together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then I put it at what should be my rest time is work time. You know what I'm saying? And just all the time is work time. So that was another reason I really hit that little step back. And yeah, I just I kept it pushing, and then it was like, again, I kind of felt the whole kind of depressing feeling that I feel when I'm not being competitive. Because even right there, being a promoter, it's competitive. I'm still competing.
Yes.
It's not the same athletic competition, but I'm competing though, you know? So just pretty much, one, I was kind of feeling down already, like, damn, I need to be doing something competitive, you know what I'm saying? And then me and my girl, we went to Cali. We went to Vegas, and then we shot over to Cali from Vegas or whatever. And I took a picture. This was November 2019. I took a picture while I was in Cali outside of Jungle Brothers, which is one of the biggest dispensaries. It's like low-key legend in LA or whatever. And the picture, you know, I'm throwing up my little hands, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in Cali. You see the palm trees, everything looking good and stuff. But then when I got home, I really looked at the picture after I posted, and I noticed my stomach was just huge. It was just looking like I'm skinny, but I'm fat though. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, I feel you.
So literally, November 2019, actually that was October, but it was like at the end of October. So going into November though, I'm looking back at this picture, and I'm like, I'm getting fat. I look down at my stomach. I'm like, yo, this is real. I thought it was just a picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I need to get back in the gym, but I can't just be in the gym like if I'm not doing something competitive. And then I know if I go do something like rec league basketball or something, like I'm not making no money, so I'm gonna be focused in on how to make money, and I'm gonna just get detracted from that. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm all over again, just not working out. So now I'm rerunning everything through my mind. I'm like, what can I still go pro in at this age? You know, MMA. So that was how that February 1st, 2020 date happened. I went ahead, November 2019, I went to Octagon MMA, and I went in there, started working, you know, and I just immediately went ahead. Matter of fact, Theo all over again. I heard him talking about he was going to do this card February 1st that Derek Brunson that's in the UFC's doing or whatever, right? I was like, what do you gotta do to get on there? And he told me Vincent Morelli is the matchmaker. Low key, I forgot. So at this point, I didn't even know Theo like that. Like our relationship wasn't all the way there. Like we seen each other maybe one day. When he said that, and he probably didn't even think I was gonna go back and hit the matchmaker up. I hit the matchmaker up. Next thing I know, he hits me back. I got a matchup for you. This dude, Vanilla Gorilla, that was on Street Beefs.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, I accept.
Yo.
So then I go back, I tell everyone at the gym, February 1st, I'm actually on that card too, I'm gonna fight. Everyone's looking at me like, bro, you are not ready to fight. My main instructor, Ben Rockrock, right then at that moment, he didn't actually know me in that competitive aspect. He hadn't seen how hungry and how dedicated and how I actually lock in when it actually is competition coming up, you know? So at this point, he's like in front of everybody, nah, bro, you don't need to do that. You are not ready for the ring. You should do something else first, blah, 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 blah. I was like, so you gonna help me or not? He was like, no. I was like, all right.
Interesting.
So I went, I locked in on my own. I didn't have no coach at this point, nothing, you know?
Wow.
And I just went to all of his classes. I'm asking him questions specific to fight scenarios. He's not even realizing why I'm asking the questions. He didn't even know I had this fight. And I'm just putting everything down on my little notepad in my head, and I'm just going at it, whatever it is. I went over to Primal one time, sparred, got my ass beat for real. So I didn't know what I was doing yet, but I was paying attention. I'm asking people questions, you know what I'm saying? Then I reached out to Rich Rivers on Smooth Boxing. I reached out to him because he teaches or trains people in boxing or whatever. I started doing every single morning with him for that month of January, and I went ahead and went at it February 1st. And I got my first win I dislocated my finger. My left ring finger, I dislocated it round one, ground and pound. I'm on top of dude, just bah, bah, bah. But my hand was loose.
Yeah.
I come out, they pulled me off of him at the end of round one. I looked down, I couldn't even close my left hand. So round two, I'm like, what can I do? I can't throw that jab out there. That's what set stuff up. So I went ahead, I threw a Superman punch. I just jumped like, ha. I threw the punch. I was like, worst case, I'm gonna be in range so that I can take him. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I went ahead, I did that. Took him. We go down to the ground. We're going back and forth from the ground. Eventually, I get back on top of him. On top, I'm sitting there with one hand. Wow. With just my left hand wide open, like I'm smacking it with my left hand, throwing the punch to the right. And I notice he's pressing up into me to try to block the punches off of me.
Okay.
So I reach around his hands. Actually, I'm like, so in my head, I'm like, oh, he's pushing up. I could reach around and probably arm bar him, right? So I thought about that. So I was like, I'm gonna make him extra push off. I'm gonna make him give me those arms so I can do the arm bar, right? So I start just punching harder and faster. I'm like, I gotta end this because if we stand back up, it could be done for me. You know what I'm saying? I got one hand. So bop, pull the arm bar. He taps.
Wow.
I won by arm bar my first fight. A lot of people don't get decisions. And a lot of people go to decisions or they lose or whatever, you know what I'm saying? With one hand, I ended the fight round two. So that's what fueled the whole hunger for me to get back in there. That's when like, yo, I'm ready. I want to go. And then the world shut down.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. But where did that boldness come from? I mean, for one, to take the fight with hardly any mixed martial arts experience. Was it the military? Was it something that your parents?
Two time frame, infantry. Like a lot of people, only about 10% of the Marine Corps is infantry. 03s. The rest are like supply, admin, something like that, like where they're kind of chilling back, you know what I'm saying? So I already had the mindset of if I'm fully trained up in whatever it is, or as long as I'm focused in, I'm a win. Like whatever it is. And then I seen that from sports. I ran in Nike Nationals, Penn Relays.
Wow.
Penn Relays is an international track meet in Philly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I pull up videos, I'll end up showing it to you later. I'm my bad, almost cussed. I'm blanking in the curve. I got the baton in last place, kill everybody in that curve. I'm handing it off in first place, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like I've competed at different levels, like across the board, and everything I did, I was nice in football, you know. So I always feel like when I put my mind to something, I can pull it off.
That's amazing.
Nightlife, I came by myself against everybody in Greensboro, and I pulled it off. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I guess I had ultimate confidence in myself that if I go ahead and focus in, I'm gonna be able to pull it off.
Wow. Was it something that your parents told you? Like what? Like in the beginning? Like how did you get that way? Was it just something you just tried everything?
Okay, so honestly, taking it all the way back.
Take it all the way back. Yeah.
So basically, I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. My dad had remarried when I was like 2. That's my siblings that you met right there. That's with my dad and my now ex-stepmom. So they were over there all the way super competitive, playing all the sports and everything from a young age or whatever. And my mom was not trying to let me play Pop Warner football, right? So pretty much like all middle school, elementary school, I wanted to play. She was like, no, you're too little, you'll get hurt. So even coming into that, it was on my own. Like the second I got the opportunity, I just went for it, and it worked for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I always felt like I had to have myself always. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was kind of me feeling like I had to have my own, and I had to always make something happen for myself. It was really a self-taught thing, like in just growing up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I love my parents to death, but I can't even credit them for that, except maybe that they weren't there at certain times. It made me have to be there for myself. You see what I'm saying?
No, I feel it.
Which I'll credit them for that. You know what I'm saying? But overall, it was me. I can't just be out here ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably something immature. It might have been the most immature thought ever in middle school. All the girls like everyone is playing Pop Warner football. All the girls like the guys that play football.
Yep.
I gotta go be good. You know what I'm saying? It might have been something immature like that, but it's grown into making the man that I am. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
And grew up listening to the Jay-Z, talking some smart stuff about how to boss up. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I listened to a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah.
And then even on the mixed martial arts, so this is something that actually come from my stepdad, who I refer to as my dad because he was there since I was 2, you know. He grew up, he's from the Bronx or whatever. His homeboy was Sean Eric Alvarez. And they were bodybuilders. They ended up moving to Cali, right? And then he moved from Cali out here when him and my mom ended up meeting, which is a whole other story, so we can just get past that. But his homeboy that he moved from the Bronx to Cali with, he ended up getting picked up as a personal trainer for the Sheikh of somewhere in the United Arab Emirates, right? The Sheikh.
Yeah.
Look all this up. Sean Alvarez. Look. So Sean Alvarez gets picked up to be the personal trainer for the Sheikh. He's just supposed to be teaching the bodybuilding aspect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the Sheikh went ahead and got someone that was real, I forget dude's name, that was real nice in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, to train him in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He had multiple people that he brought in just to help progress himself. I guess that's what you do when you're extremely rich.
Yeah, I guess so.
So he's living this elaborate life out there, like on private jets and stuff. And I'm hearing it because they're back and forth on the phone and stuff. And I'm like, yo, that's so dope. The next thing I know, Sean starts cross-training with the guy that was like a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he starts getting raw in BJJ. So then the Sheikh comes back and is like, you know what? We should put on a tournament right here, right? And he called it ADDC, the Abu Dhabi ADCC, the Abu Dhabi Combat Club. Right now in the mixed martial arts community, everybody knows about this. The ADCC is like the most major BJJ tournament in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eric Alvarez, Sean, Eric, whichever one anyone wants to call him, since he had just started getting raw at it, he went ahead and competed in it. In the very first one, he finished third.
Wow.
In the world.
That's
first one ever. And then from there, he started doing cage fighting and stuff like that. This is all the way back before the UFC was the flagship that it is right now. And pretty much, he was sending like videos of his fights on the cassette tape, like on the videotapes. He was sending them over and stuff. And I'm looking at that. I'm little. And I'm like, yo, he's going off. Like, he gets the ground. Like, they can't do nothing with him. So that was part of what inspired me on even wanting to pursue MMA. It always was in the back of my head. Like, I seen someone that was like a family friend. Next thing I know, he's on top of the world with this. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then the Sheikh ended up, from there, he brought him into other business with him. I guess it was some property out in Mazatlan, Mexico, that he assigned him to basically oversee. But the deal was he also got his own studio to train people in BJJ. So he's in Mazatlan, Mexico right now, or whatever, training people and stuff like that. And that's someone I've been meaning to go work with for real, the guy that initially inspired me.
Yeah. So
as far as the initial inspiration, fighter-wise, it wasn't even your big names. It was just someone that was a family friend. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of my full journey right there too.
That's what's up, man. So who are also, outside of Eric Alvarez, who are also some of the mixed martial artists that you grew up watching? Did you watch?
I'm old.
You're 32, man. You ain't old. That ain't old.
You know.
That ain't old.
So, I grew up in the time frame with Rashad Evans, you know what I'm saying? Damn, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Nick Diaz?
No,
Nate Diaz? No, Nick. Yes, Nick Diaz.
It just took a lot. He beat Derek the other day. They just pulled him from the UFC. I'm drawing a blank right now.
It's not UL.
No. Hold on. He's been losing lately.
Oh, he's been losing.
Like just non-stop, and nobody wanted to sign him. He's from Brazil, black dude. You know what I'm talking about.
Silva?
I am so embarrassed.
Anderson Silva. Oh, snap.
Silva. I'm so embarrassed.
Man.
He's been losing so bad. I ain't been checking for him. I done forgot the man's name. He's still a goat. He should have been let it go.
Yeah,
he should have been let it go.
Yeah.
Oh God, he should have been let it go because apparently it's just not in him no more.
Well, you know what?
He tarnishes his whole reputation. Like anybody new don't know the Anderson Silva that I know.
But I think, okay, so this is what I think. So for you, you're exceptional because you found the other passions, right? Whereas there's some athletes, all they know is that sport. Like Manny Pacquiao right now, he's in his 40s, still knocking out mother suckers. You know what I mean? That's his passion. He grew up from the slums. Anderson Silva, man, he grew up training, fighting. That's his life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes fighters, they don't know what to do outside of fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but like, what would you tell somebody like an Anderson Silva or somebody who's older, all they know is fighting? What would you tell them?
All right, first and foremost, what I tell them is, especially if they're great like Anderson Silva, much respect, brother. First off,
Go.
Sorry, and I even forgot the name for 2 seconds.
Nah.
It's been a long day. But pretty much, I tell them, first thing, go listen to Napoleon Hill's Laws of Success.
Interesting.
Right? Because basically, Napoleon Hill's Laws of Success, a quick breakdown, you know what I'm saying? It was a dude that came up under Andrew Carnegie, and he basically put together a full format that basically yields success no matter what it is. If you follow this format, you're going to be successful. So the first principle is definite purpose. You got to know what it is you want to do. And then you may not know the path that you want to take, but you know what you want to do, you eventually get there. You know what I'm saying? But then the next principle, and that's where Rick Ross dropped that album, The Mastermind, which is the only reason I really know about this, because Jerry Gilmore ended up breaking it down to me, because I was like, hey, who's that voice in the back of that Rick Ross Mastermind album? He was like, oh, that's Napoleon Hill, that's Law of Success. So anyways, the Mastermind principle basically states in a year's time frame, you can accomplish more than you would in a full lifetime if you go ahead and form a mastermind pair with someone else that's along that same definite purpose of you, right?
Wow.
So, because basically, like, boom, I don't know nothing about interviewing people or radio or anything, but if I came over here and linked in with y'all, and I was like, I had this concept that I want to do on the radio or whatever, I get to bypass the whole experience that it took to even get to this point of having a station. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm forming that mastermind alliance with a station owner. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that goes with anything. So somebody like an Anderson Silva, that their skill is fighting. You know what I'm saying? I just tell them to find someone that could form a mastermind pair. The skill is something else that they got a lifetime in. You know what I'm saying? Take that money that you got, and let's say they don't have the capital, but you got the capital, you got the namesake attached with somebody else that has a skill set, and you can always make money and win in that lane, and you're still winning off of your brand. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I tell Anderson Silva, because, you know, it's been X amount of years.
Yeah.
You know, they say you can't teach your old dog new tricks. So align with someone to know all the other tricks that you don't have. You know what I'm saying? They give you some other money outside of just fighting. You know what I'm saying? Because when you were Anderson Silva, like, you've inspired a whole generation. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta, you know, take care of yourself first. You already did the inspiration side. Like, you already did the winning and the inspiration and the touching of people that you've done. You know what I'm saying? You could have been done 40 years ago.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact. I think, and I know this is not mixed martial arts, but Kobe and Shaq are prime examples of people who they surrounded themselves with great people to make money. Like you said, it's key. Surround yourself with great people and you'll be straight.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's major.
So, what is success to Juston Welch?
Success is a general success. Being happy and being able to pay your bills and put money to the side and take care of your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the simplest form of success. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't. So that's where even being successful in nightlife. So now we could tie this all back up. I felt like I was making all the money I needed to make and everything, right? But it was taken away from being achieve my full dream. You know what I'm saying? To be able to have the full time to train and live life how I want to, by still bringing in income. And even at that, I'm not just taking on any sponsors. If I take on a sponsor, I believe in them. You know what I'm saying? Dirty Fries, that's my old partner that I did all those different years of nightlife with, Mike Clark. He's seen the concept over on the West Coast of basically they do the fries and they put whatever you want to put as protein on top of the fries and everything. And those fries, I mean, they sell themselves. I don't know if you've seen the picture, but you see those fries, you're going to want that. So I all the way believe in that, and I know all I got to do is show that picture, and people are going to come for Dirty Fries. And that's opening in my hometown, Winston-Salem, come next month. So Dirty Fries, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's the truth. Sir. And he's talking about franchising that and everything, so I really believe we will be seeing Dirty Fries in multiple cities soon.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So when are you fighting next? Because I think you have a fight coming up soon. Is that correct?
Yes. So I have a fight. It got moved up to February 13th. So these whole last weeks of training for a fight, that's when you really go to work. That's when you're extra lifting hard, you're throwing harder punches, you're taking harder punches. So every day you're really sore. So something going on in the MMA community, and while you're having the growth of the cannabis industry as a whole across the whole U.S. right now, people are realizing the health benefits of cannabis, and especially as an anti-inflammatory. And so pretty much what I have right here as well, my second sponsor is Carolina Pure. Carolina Pure, they're out of Wilmington, real good people. So this product is homegrown. It's right here in North Carolina. I want to do everything with homegrown businesses that I can. And whoever comes on as a sponsor right now, I'm going to keep you on even when we get to the UFC. Because that's something else that I ended up realizing. Dana White said, if you come into the UFC and you already have previous sponsorships, you can keep that. So grow with me, because I will make it to that stage. But back to this homegrown company right here. They have CBD products, which is great for, you know, taking the edge off of you after you work out. Like, you know, your joints be hurt. I don't know if it's just because I'm old. Nah, I ain't because I'm old. Everybody says it, though. Like, when you're hitting that bag hard enough, or if you're hitting weights hard enough, you start feeling stuff in your joints and stuff like that. And CBD products really take away that pain. Like, it don't matter in what form. And then it's something else that they're working with. The other side of their brand is Elevate. So basically, when CBD came legal in all of your different states, certain states worded it where THC Delta 9 is illegal. Only Delta 9. All the other cannabinoids are legal. So even in THC, Delta 8 THC is legal. So a lot of companies, they're also doing products with Delta 8 THC, which is 100% legal in the state of North Carolina. And pretty much it's just a milder version of Delta 9. So it's still a high. It's just a mild high, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then for everyone that doesn't want to be high at all, strictly CBD, after a workout, you'll feel all the way good. So Carolina Pure is definitely what's up. And on their Delta 8 line, that's Elevate. ELEV8.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And tell people how they can support, because I noticed you actually have a Patreon. Explain to people the Patreon, becoming a sponsor.
Okay, so right now what I've been doing, I'm starting to build up my content. I haven't fully launched my Patreon. I went in and put it in my my website link on my Instagram, because different people have been reaching out, like they want to support. Like I'll be in Florida sometimes and random people would be like, "Hey, what's your Cash App?" I'd be like, "All right, cool," you know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, I want to give people something back, right? And people always ask me about like how you lose weight. I know people really like seeing like my training and stuff like that. So I'm currently building up my content on a site called Patreon. So on there, you'll learn how to make detox drinks that I make. You'll learn different things I do to cut weight and actually cut weight, not just water cuts, because I do water cuts as well, but that's temporary. So I wouldn't even try to teach anybody that. But on the actual general weight cut, that's on there. And for people that want to build mass, because people see I'll put on weight fast too. I'm putting all of that on there as well. So for $25 a month, you can kind of be a sponsor of me. Man, I'll add you onto my t-shirt written on my walkout t-shirt if you want to be added on there. And then companies, if you want to sponsor me, just reach out and we're going to add you onto my walkout apparel. And I'll make sure to help you with your marketing, because I forget if I said this on air or not, but I don't want to be a fighter that's just putting you on my banner or just putting you on my shorts. I want to actually bring value to your business and bring traffic to your business, so then you actually will keep me on long term. So like I said, anyone that wants to help out, you can go to my Patreon if you're not a business, and if you're a business, just reach out to me. My Instagram is j.mogul, JDOTMOGUL.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So last question. So let's say a kid or a young adult that come to you and they're like, okay, I see what you were doing in your 20s when you were promoting. I see you chasing your dreams as an amateur, becoming a professional. What are your personal keys to success? What would you tell a young person?
First and foremost, bringing it back to that mastermind principle, align yourself with solid people in whatever you're trying to go for. So like I said, in the fight game, I put myself beside someone that got multiple championships. And the next thing, in that mastermind pair, it's got to be someone that is just a solid individual. They got to be loyal. They got to, they can't be a shark. Like, you know, they can't be worried about money all the time. Like they just got to be a genuine good person. You can't just form a mastermind alliance with anyone. So for fighting, I made sure to tie in with someone that was really a good, genuine person in Theo Relayan.
Yes, as genuine as they come.
Super solid dude. And then also align with other people that might have character flaws, but they're great at what they do. So I just spot in and out with them and all the way soak up game where I can. But apply that to whatever it is that you're doing, and you'll be good if you put the hours in while aligning with those people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much, Juston, for coming on, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. You're listening to 105.1 Live.